Recording now.
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome to the Nature Stewardship meeting number 4. I put the agenda in the chat box there, and so I would say the first thing is, okay, has everyone had a chance to look at the meetings which didn't the minutes to the previous meeting? Okay. Okay, so everybody's okay with those? No, you do not have that. Let's see, the minutes to the previous meeting. Now I have to find, it should be on the message board. Let me go to the message board. Meeting number 3. I hope I put them out there. Minutes. Yeah. It's under the Nature Stewardship meeting number 3. Do you see that? It doesn't say much because basically we didn't do much. But you want me to read it? Let's see, it's toward the attending, Jorge, Sylvie, Keith, Ann M., Benjamin, Suzanne, Elia, and Ray for part of the meeting. Do I need to read them? I think I do, I guess. Is that correct? Okay, I do need to read them. All right, okay, so here goes. We accepted the minutes for the previous meeting, and this is already on the base camp under Nature Stewardship meeting number 3. We accepted the minutes for the previous meeting and agreed on the agenda items to discuss. 2, we were unable to act on the second agenda item, clarify the vision, mission, and aims of the Nature Stewardship Study Group by examining the questions asked and compiled in the spreadsheet. 2 of the difficulties were that A, at least one person could not find the documents that we were discussing, and B, we could not agree on what the terms vision, mission, aims, and culture meant. 3, 2 action items were, without objection, created. A, post the spreadsheet of nature stewardship questions together with members' suggested categorizations of questions. The categorizations should be vision, mission, aims, culture, or other, i.e. to be discussed for discussion. Put this in the docs and files section of nature stewardship. And that, by the way, has been done. B, provide the contextual meanings of vision, mission, aims, culture, and other. Well, I'm not sure we have agreement on that, but that's something that's actually the first item on today's agenda. Then 4, the next meeting will be in 2 weeks at the same time, Monday, March 9th, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time via Zoom. Note that most of the USA and Canada go to Daylight Standard Time on March 8th, so that the same time will actually be an hour later for those who remain on Standard Time, e.g. Arizona and India. So does that sound good? Does anyone have any corrections or things they want to add to that? That's actually more lengthy. I should have just said we didn't do much and just let it go at that. But that's what that's what I have in the minutes. Does everyone agree with and you've got the recording. If there's any dispute, the recording will, we can go back to the recording and look at that.
And the transcript.
And
you copied into a transcript and started to correct it. So it's, 95% accurate transcript, which doesn't always identify these speakers. I think I've fixed most of that, but it's another practice that I want to try to crowdsource the correction of transcripts so that it is of more value to our collective intelligence.
Yes.
I think your reading of the minutes is helpful because it reminds us that the last meeting, specifically what was the issue was people being confused about the definitions, and that's a good starting point. And how to deal with newcomers, because there's always going to be more people coming into base camp. How do we deal with with that kind of situation. Something we're discussing in VCI, but it's something we have to decide as a group for each group. VCI can make recommendations, but I think there's a different character to every project, so it makes sense that we make those kind of decisions locally.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a suggestion for that, which is, I mean, I'm going to bring it up tomorrow at the VCI meeting as well, but I think we need to just go for it. You know, start writing a vision, mission, aims, culture. You know, and someone can start. So, but we need a wiki type technology so that we can we have a history of what was written, you know, and then we can go back to the previous revision and whatever. So, a wiki style technology, maybe MediaWiki. I don't know if anything like that is incorporated into Basecamp. It will be useful. If not, we have to figure out how to get an account for us so we can start doing this.
Yes.
Because I think, you know, I mean, all my meetings are getting canceled now. I was supposed to go to Harvard on Thursday and it got canceled because people are not flying. They don't want to get together. This virus is taking a serious toll on people. And given that, I think it is important that we get cracking on this because we really need to get the questions answered. And it could be that, you know, someone takes the lead and starts answering these questions on the document, and then someone comes along and corrects it. So we need to implement whatever Wikipedia has done, but taking into account that we are trying to create a cohesive set of recommendations. So first thing first, I'm going to we have to look for this technology that we can use on Basecamp. And then I'm going to put the white paper on it so that people can start editing it if they want to edit it. So
yes, that's
starting point, you know.
Okay, so the next thing is the next item, since we've agreed to the minutes, then we agree on the agenda items or modify them. And I've got 2 items on the agenda, and I actually there's something missing. Actually, I did not fully put the items on the in the agenda. Let's try this again. Oh, there you go. Somebody did it. Okay. Anyway, so do you see the agenda items in the chat room? And also, they were on the. There's now a message board item for Nature Stewardship 4, and you can see the same agenda there. So. Do you agree to the agenda items? We've basically got, first of all, vision, mission, aims, and culture. What does that mean? Just some sort of rough definition. Secondly, we want to actually go in and look at what people's answers were, and see if we can agree on, smooth it out, and see if we can agree on what's what. And then if we've got time, then we can actually start looking at some of the questions. And I sort of agree with Silesh. And then of course, we have to look at the time for the next meeting and then adjourn. So I sort of agree with Silesh. Let's just barge forward and do the best we can and see what happens. Do people agree to these agenda items? Yes, yes, yes.
I would like to suggest a switch of item number, the classification of each question. Like there's so many questions, and if we're going to classify it on this meeting, like to finalize and consent on all of them, I think this meeting will go for the whole day. So
okay,
I would suggest to just focus on the vision questions, like the ones that are marked in green.
Okay, yeah, if we can agree on what the vision questions are, because some magazine says that's not vision, that's something else. I mean, then we would, so we'd have to But I agree with that. I would say that we could modify item number 3, see if we can reach consent on which items are involved with vision, meaning vision. I could write that down. Let's see. 3, classify. Identify which questions fall in the category of vision. Yeah, so we don't have to argue about, let's see, let me put that out there. So that's my revision for item 3. Okay, if we can do that, some people may think that if we can agree on that, we can at least look at the ones where we all agree that it's a vision question, and then we can start looking at at any of the others. Does my revision of item 3, does that look good?
Okay, I don't know if I'm seeing it called. Yeah, okay. Identify. Okay. Yeah, I think that will get us going.
Yes.
Somewhere. Okay.
Okay, so with that revision, okay, Silash, Benjamin, Suzanne, or it looks like just Benjamin. Okay, so we all agree, I think, on the agenda. So now we charge forward boldly and look at the which questions were identified as vision. And Jorge, do you want to sort of conduct the meeting from here, and you can just look at for this until we start running out of time, at least, or shall I do it? What do you think?
I would like to be on the screening command of the sheets the spreadsheets on item number 3, but item number 2, the agreement
yeah, right, yeah.
Mission.
We have to agree on that first. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so let's look at what does vision mean. Now I think I just went into the dictionary somewhere, or I just went on the internet and got a few definitions. And I'm not sure if everybody saw them. Let's see if I can find them.
I was just looking for them myself because you did make some good some points there about culture. Sometimes you need the culture first in order to determine the rest of, when do we meet again, and
yes,
sort of how the meetings proceed.
Yeah, like for example, that what Jorge just did, which was raise a point of order, says this isn't on the agenda. We have to go back to the previous item. Is it an example of something that actually is more important than how do we get to a vegan world? Because we can't get to a vegan world unless we can agree on what to do next. So I've got it listed. I've got some definitions listed under and the to-dos, and it's under the contextual meanings of vision, mission, aims, culture, and other. And I've just got this listed. Can you all see it, or do I need to share it on the screen? It's in the nature stewardship. It's in the nature stewardship section under to-dos, and there's one to-do, which is contextual meanings of vision, mission, aims, culture, and other.
But that's all it is. There's nothing else written under it.
Yeah, there's a comment. I just put mine in a comment because we haven't really resolved it. Maybe I should have put it in the, I could change it.
I don't see it.
You don't see my comment? it's like it goes on and on forever.
If you click on the to-do item, it lists the comment under that, right?
Ray liked it.
I remember it. Oh. Okay, I got it now.
Okay, so everyone can see the comment.
I just posted the link on the chat box. So if you follow that link, it will take you to the to-do item, and the comment on that to-do item is what we're talking about right now.
Okay, so does everyone now see that page, or do we still have some confusion? Okay, Benjamin, / Ray, I presume, and Ann? Yes, okay, so we all see it. So what do you think? We actually, all we have to do is vision right now. But let's see, the vision thing, I found something on the internet that just said, definition of vision and mission. Well, we'll ignore the mission part. A vision statement focuses on tomorrow and what an organization wants to ultimately become. A mission statement focuses on today and what an organization does to achieve it.
So in that sense, would our study group want to become a task force?
That, for example, would be a part of the vision. That's not I don't know if that's a question that we asked, but yes.
What an organization wants to ultimately become. So a study group eventually wants to have something proactive enough that they can turn into a task force, or spawn a task force while the study group continues studying whatever is the next initiative. That makes sense? So Lesh, is that what you had in mind with the study groups and task forces? And I know that there was a white paper as part of that objective, to draft the contents of a white paper.
Right. Yeah. No, that's the way it was done in my past, which is what this model is based on, right? That's the way we did it. Started off as a study group.
Successful, I assume, since we're talking on the internet and it's not cutting out.
Right. It's not crapping out yet.
So my suggestion is that we just accept a vision statement focuses, I mean, just take, which is just something I got off the internet, just have that as our definition of vision and mission. And then also, as I explained below, I thought that aims is like another category below mission. It's like sort of a subcategory. That's like, you know, something even below that. And then culture is more like, how do we do things? How do we structure meetings, et cetera, et cetera. That was my thought. So if what I put up underneath the to-dos in my comment is acceptable, then we can move. Do you want to move forward, or do you want to like maybe have a doubt about this, and maybe if we get into trouble, we can come back and look at it again, but move ahead for now, or what? What do you think?
For number one, the definition.
Yes, I've got. Well, let's just start with. Let's just keep it strictly with item number one, which I just took it from somewhere and I've got the link right there. The definition of vision and mission.
I found it helpful for me to separate the concept of the two, because it specifically says vision is future, mission is today.
Yes.
I like that.
Okay, so I agree with the latter option, like to just go with the good enough for now, safe enough to try, and revisit this. The difference between vision, mission, aims, and culture in sociocracy are not that different from what it's now posted with the WikiLeaks links. WikiLeaks, no, Wikipedia links. Sorry, my mind is somewhere else. And so I would say that we can move forward, especially because the vision is very straightforward and most of us agreed on the questions that we're going to visit in item number 3. Like there's some minority that needs to be heard, those voices, but I think pretty much we are close to a consent on the vision questions.
Okay, great. So this is, incidentally, this is news to me that sociocracy. This is part of sociocracy. I'm just sort of, but is this in some book or something? Is this in the book that Anne you mentioned a book, Many Voices, One Song, or something like that?
But which part are you talking about? The questions, the proposal forming, or the vision, mission, aims, and culture?
My interest was in the definition of vision, mission, aims, and culture. And it was news to me that this was a term used in theoretical sociocracy talk. And I've seen several books. I haven't actually read them yet on sociocracy. But, you know, so this is like, this is my 4th meeting. And now I'm finding out that, you know, what this is all about. But, you know, if this is good enough, I would say let's move forward. But I am interested. Can someone fill me in at some time in the future about what the best books to read? I know that Anne suggested one, and I found 2 others, which I put up somewhere on the base camp somewhere, and I can get them for you, Anne or Ray.
We have a meeting with James Priest, and I'm curious if all this is in sync with what he's going to be saying on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a blocked meeting with a sociocracy expert. Does that reflect what you're talking about, Jorge, and what your book is related to, Anne?
Well, I am not a like sociocracy expert with a platform selling sociocracy, but I do know that everybody in sociocracy needs to address vision, mission, aims, and culture. So I don't know if his talk is going to be based on that specifically, but we can visit these questions with him when the time comes, if we still have doubts about it. There are so many links available in the internet that buying a book specifically to read about vision, mission, aims, and culture, it's a possibility, but not a mandatory thing to do. Like there's so much information online. So I would suggest that instead of saying read everything about sociocracy, maybe taking the chance after that meeting with James Priest, we can say who is really interested in getting like a study group within Basecamp about sociocracy, and we can then say there's so many links about proposal forming, there are so many links about vision, mission, aims, and culture. Whoever wants to really get their hands on this, you can read this. But getting 350 people involved in like, here are all the links because this is sociocracy and you need to read them, I think that that's going to be too much. And let's see how many people get interested in the talk this Thursday. No, it's Thursday, the 12th of March.
And I agree with that. I don't think, I bought the book because I'm a reader and I wanted to know more about sociocracy, and I prefer books to online stuff. I am not saying this is the book. It's the book I bought. That's it. I do want to clarify, the meeting with James Priest is still on. That is still going to happen?
That's what I understood.
Okay. Okay.
I've never seen an email about James Priest saying, yes, I'm going to be there. Like all the communication has been through Patricia, and Patricia is no longer on Basecamp. So I don't know if actually that's set on stone and James Priest is going to show up. I don't know.
I actually spoke to Patricia on Facebook, and she says it's still on.
Ray, can you send the notice of that meeting out to everyone on Basecamp?
Yeah, I will. Now, James Priest is a reliable authority in for sociocracy, I'm assuming. He's not going to steer us wrong. I'm sure he's given us a general overview that'll be largely compatible with anything that we might read previously or thereafter.
Yeah, like I think that Sociocracy 3.0 is one of many branches of the original Sociocracy, and it's not like there's one authority. Like, I think that whatever he's going to bring is going to be to the benefit of the project we're on.
Okay, so I would say that that sounds like consent to the good enough for now for vision. And since all we needed to do is define vision, let's move on to the finding as many questions as we can that qualify as vision. And that for that, I turn it over to Jorge. And you're going to go to the spreadsheet, one of the spreadsheets that's out there, I believe. There's a Suzanne, actually, if you go to the Google form to categorize questions for vision, mission, aims, and culture, Suzanne has a comment where it has a link to the answers that have been given. Ah. Oh, yeah, now you're sharing it. Okay, great. Okay, so which one, Jorge, which one do you want to conduct this? Just for the next 20 minutes or so, just tell us what we need to do. I mean, which question you want to start with. Start with any question you want and take it from there. Jorge, I can't hear you. Are you? Whoops.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Keith. So this is the master spreadsheet. This is not the same link that Keith just referred to. So I can modify this one. The other one that you have is just to view it. But it's the same content. And here we can see that the people that participated in the question classification was Jorge, Keith, Suzanne, Benjamin, Anne, Sylvie, and Elia Phi. Okay, so we have them ranked or numbered 1 to, I think it was like 70 something. And we can see that there's a lot of discussion to be made around most of the ones of mission, vision, mission, aims, and culture, but the very specific about vision, I color them in green. So here they are. This gap is because these are new answers, so I will just fill them in green. There. So now we can see that out of the 6 people that answered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that answered, in the first AD column is 1, 2, 3, 4 people said that this was a vision question. 2 people said it was a to be discussed question, and only 1 person said that it was a culture question. So this is a good enough for now, safe enough to try. Just like try to start somewhere and start working on the ones that are pretty much clear that they are vision questions. If there's someone that said, no, I need to discuss it before we classify it as a vision question, let's go for it. But that will slow things down a lot. This one, for example, the A and E column is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people saying that it's a vision question, and only 2 people saying that it's a culture question. So I'm gonna go ahead and color it again green. This is the way, it's not perfect, but it's the way that we can move forward. Unless there's a strong opinion, like I already said. Like, I can't move forward unless we discuss this one, no? So that is not up to me, that's up to the whole group. Like, if we want to discuss each one, as long as it takes, we can do that. But it will take a while to go through them. This one, the AF, everybody agreed because it says, how do we define nature? Are humans part of nature? Everybody agreed that this was a vision. No? That there's no discussion around this. And I did the same with all of these. No? Like the ones that were pretty much clear that they were vision questions. So I don't know, maybe we have around a dozen questions that are vision questions out of them all. So my suggestion would be that, like I would leave the mic open to hear what you think, or we can just like go ahead and consent that we can work on these dozen questions that are pretty much clear that they're vision questions in a good enough for now, safe enough to try basis.
Okay, so your thought is not to classify the questions, but to actually try to answer them.
First, agree that these are vision questions, so we can start working on this set. It's like a dozen questions. I haven't counted them, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, a dozen questions. Out of, I don't remember how many, out of 96 questions, 12 are pretty much clear that they are vision questions. So we can consent that these are the 12 beginning starting point questions, because if we go to them and we start like, okay, we consent that we will work on these dozen questions that are vision questions, as you said on your write-up, Keith, then we will say, okay, these are the main questions because there are the vision questions. And as soon as we get those clear, we'll get more clarity to establish which are mission questions and which are aims questions and which are culture questions. Because it builds up on the clarity once we have our vision more or less agreed on. If we try to do them all at the same time, it will take forever. Or not forever, but longer. So I don't know if it's easy for you to see them, or should I just copy them into the chat box so you can take a better look at them, because I know that I'm moving fast through this through the spreadsheet. So
Ray and Anne have raised their hand.
Oh yeah, okay. Yes.
So I'm very curious about how answering the questions and will inform us about coming up with a vision statement. I really want to see this process go through. So I'm eager, even though it still seems confusing to me because I have not ever done this before. So this process still seems confusing to me, but every time we meet and talk about it, I get a little bit more clarity about how answering these questions is going to inform a much deeper vision statement to be developed. So I really want to see it through at least once to see if this is the process that we should be using in the whole Vegan World 2026, or at least in VCI as well as in the Nature Stewardship group. So I'm eager to say, yes, I consent to these questions as being vision questions. Let's answer them and and get to the point of developing the vision statement from the answers. And I understand if I'm beginning to understand, if this group of people right here does not have agreement on what nature means, how do we put a vision together for the nature stewardship group? Right? Like I'm beginning to get a better sense of that. This is a very different way than I have ever been involved in putting a vision, mission, and aim statement together. And it's, for me, this is really interesting because I think it might get us to a much deeper place than doing it the old way would get us. And I also don't know this. This is new. So I know that we're kind of stumbling around, feeling like we're kind of in the dark here. At least I am, but I want to do it. I want to say yes to these questions. Let's get these questions answered, and let's come back to putting a vision statement together. So I'm just ready to jump in and move forward on this.
Sure. I would go along with that. I saw one question that I actually think is a culture question, but for purposes of moving forward, let's call it vision. But in answering it, you know, I'll say a few things about what is culture and so forth. But that's fine with me.
You're muted.
You're still muted.
Sorry. Just as a disclaimer, I would like to say, answering the vision questions won't get us to get a vision statement. It will give us clarity, maybe in our unclarity. So a lot of people want to jump in and say, we need a vision, and this is it, no? Without considering where are we placed within the project, how are we like interlinked with the outside world of Vegan World 2026, you know? So this will inform us. And the best scenario is that they will inform us how to classify the next set of questions of mission questions. So after we go through all the process, then we will say, okay, now we understand which is our vision. Now we can come together with the same understanding on how to write it up in a sentence or in a very short paragraph, right? But the aim is not to answer them and to have clarity right away, because part of this process is to understand if we have or we don't have clarity.
Okay, that's great. Jorge, could you list the questions that we have just classified tentatively as vision, or just give the numbers? Because I want to write them down and make sure they get in the minutes. Just read them. I mean, not the questions, but just the number.
You're still muted, Jorge. You're still muted.
Okay, 33, 34, 35, 39, 40, 41. 42, 51, 52.
So, okay, so I have 33, 34, 35, 39, 40, 41, 42, 51, and 52. Is that correct?
Yeah, looks correct.
Okay, great. So we've classified the vision questions. Now, what's next? Then we can go on to
wait, hold on. That's only 9 questions, and there were 12.
Oh, really?
4, 5, 6, 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, and then I'm missing. $41, $42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
28 and 30.
I'm missing 28, 29, and 30. Yeah, I'm missing 3. Sorry, good catch. Okay, I will add them.
Okay, so the questions are 28, 29, 30. 33, 34, 35, 39, 40, 41, 42, 51, and 52. So is that correct, everyone? Everybody thinks that's a good idea? Okay. Okay, so we've classified the vision question. We've identified the vision questions. Do we want to now, since we've got 15 minutes left, you want to try to actually talk about them, or what? That's the next item on the agenda.
Okay, so maybe we can start by reading them. Because I see a catch here. The main ones that I feel that are more meaningful to me out of these ones is the ones that are related to serving the main objective of the whole project of Vegan World 2026. Like, I let me see if I can find it quickly to tell you exactly what I mean. Oops, welcome. Well, one of them is how this group incorporated the 7 core shifts. No, that was one of my questions. This one, number 35. What is the most important objective in Climate Healers Vegan World 2026 project, and how do we, Nature Stewardship Study Group, want to contribute to realize it? So right now, we are in the same process in the VCI, which is also unclear on this exact topic. No, like, what is the main objective? The one that is stated, I find it confusing. So it's not a question to say, okay, we need to redo it completely, just to give clarity. Like, if the main objective of the whole project is to switch half of the population of industrialized nation to self-proclaim themselves as vegan, is that the objective? Like, and how do we serve that as VCI, or how do we serve that as nature stewardship? For me, it's unclear. I don't know if it's clear for someone that could say, okay, yeah, it's clear enough to go for it.
That one's contingent now on VCI and the mission of the whole thing, which we haven't got up there yet. Silas?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think I need to clarify where these specifics came from. Of course, the objective is, the vision is the vegan world. Okay? We want the whole world to be vegan. I don't want anyone sitting around chopping animals off, right? But how do you, as an engineer, I know that there is no such thing as 100% perfection. So you don't aim for, that's your vision, but you're saying, I'm happy if I achieve this. So there's a certain practicality to coming up with measurable quantities that you're shooting for. And so I said, if 50% or greater of people in these industrialized nations, and in fact, it started with that one Google search that I did, which had the number of people searching for vegan going up, right? It's going up exponentially. And I looked at the 9 or 10 countries that it's going up exponentially in, and they were all Western countries. So they were all, US, Canada, UK, etc. There were like 10 countries, I think. So I said, if we can get 50% of those people to say they're vegan, then that's a measurable objective that we don't have to go and put resources into measuring ourselves. Someone is already doing the measurement. Right? There is Ipsos polls, there's global data doing surveys. So we can rely on those surveys and say, that's our objective. And we can monitor what's going on with that, right? So that's just an engineering minimum that we need to get to. That doesn't mean that we are shooting for just that. No, that's just a minimum that we're shooting for. Yeah. So that's where those two things came from. Okay. But we talk about a vegan world. We want, a world in which nonviolence is normal. Does that help at all? Okay.
I'm sorry, I have questions, but I wouldn't like to keep the mic on my hand. If someone else wants to go first, please do.
Okay.
This is a topic that we are going to be addressing in the VCI group, right? Well, it's good we've got a preliminary definition by Celeste to work from. It also struck me, like as soon as I heard that, as an outreach person, I recognize a lot of barriers. This isn't specifically to facilitate the vegans that are trying to achieve this goal. These are circumventing a huge number of resistance to the words vegan world, that the non-vegan world is going to throw up roadblocks like you wouldn't believe, because they're going to go, oh, what about them? What about them? This addresses all of that. This is a self-identified movement. So this isn't about, forcing the world to go vegan. It's encouraging the world to go vegan because it's in our best interest, not because, laws are going to come raining down like all what the environmental movement has set thus far, that everything's a top-down solution that we have to get the government involved. We don't. We're following different rules. And this is how you engage, not with placards and lobby groups, but with human outreach. So the rules have changed, and we need to present reasonable statistics. And every time I've explained that definition to people, they've, especially non-vegans, they relax a bit and are willing to listen. That is critical, getting people to listen, rather than saying, vegan world, forget it. Like, you've just eliminated all my family, right? Everybody's gonna have all sorts of resistance. So I see that there's a lot of those elements get solved with the setting this benchmark, and it's never stop at 51%. It's always, fully vegan world. 2026, making a reasonable tipping point to which that'll be possible.
So to be clear, I think we're talking about questions 33 and 34. Is that correct? Or that this is what it sounds like. I just wanted to make sure which is how nature stewardship connects with the vegan world 2026.
Yeah, if I might make a suggestion.
35 and 33. Sorry, 35 and 33.
35 and 33.
Yes.
If I might make a suggestion, can you share the spreadsheet and then put just those 12 questions together on the spreadsheet?
One thing I want to say about the importance of definition. If you don't have a definition of the words, then you're going to have confusion, and not small confusion. I didn't participate in the previous meeting, but I did watch it on video, and everybody completely missed Elea's misinterpretation of the word culture. And if you look at her answers on your spreadsheet, you'll see that she's interpreting culture as human culture, not the culture of the group. So if you have that kind of a disconnect, you end up going down completely the wrong path, and that derailed the rest of the meeting, in my opinion. I just wanted to share that. And I think that some of the questions there, if you say the vision of this group is to network with other groups in Basecamp, I think that is a culture question. One person said culture, everybody else said vision. I didn't have my vote, so I guess I miss out, but that's just my observation about that. I don't think it stands the test of the vision of nature stewardship is to network with other groups in Basecamp. That's one I'd like to try to put to the test.
Okay, I have Can you hear me? Yes, I think so. No. Okay. So I don't know if this is very visible for everyone. Like these are the 12 questions. I will try not to move them so you don't get dizzy. Okay, so 35 is the one that we have talked about so far right now. And before I go into that, I would like to build on a couple of things that Ray said, if I can remember. The question about Elia is that it is very hard to work with someone that just jumps in, no, and wants to take control of the agenda, and then the next meeting is not present, but filled out the form. So this is not the ideal scenario to make such a great project come to fruition, because we need a committed core group, people that we start building trust with and that we have continuity. And it's very hard to do it online. So we're making the best out of what we have. No, we're in Mexico. Some of you are in Oregon, some in Phoenix. Like this is a miracle, like to be able to be here. But at the same time, it creates this unsteady ground, right? So we need to go through this learning curve and adapt as soon as possible to make it a core group of committed people, that we know that they're the same people are going to be showing up, that everybody's going to participate, like, okay. And another thing that that Ray mentioned that I'm trying to remember right now is that I will remember, but right now I think that we have talked about the number 35, and I want to bring number 33 in, because in number 33 the 7 core shift is the subject, in contrast to question 35 that vegan is the subject. And in the 7 core shift, vegan is a half of a bullet point. If you ask me, Jorge, the greatest transformation is not about a vegan transformation. It is about a 7 core shift metamorphosis. And I think we are all in agreement, but we are not sharing it, not in our project's name, not in our main objective of the project. So I would like just to see if there is like a chance to open the space to talk about this and to understand what is our big objective, to encourage. I remember now, Ray said, encourage the world to be vegan, not manipulate or colonize it as a vegan world, right? So it's very important to understand this. And another thing that I remember is in one of Dr. Rao's presentations is the shift to cooperation culture. So how can we cooperate with people that are involved in other bullet points of the 7 core shifts and not yet on the vegan or not fully transitioned to vegan, if we're claiming ourselves as the ones with the advantage or the ones that have like illuminator status? Because that sets a competition model in my standard. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. But I do realize that there's so many people that are saying, vegan world, I don't want to hear it. No? If they say, okay, your project is about the greatest transformation of humanity, to have a thriving world that includes veganism, then I think that the guard will be a little bit like down a little. Okay, that's the main thoughts that I have.
I understand what you're saying, Jorge, but the idea behind calling it a vegan world is to set that polarity up. right away. So people see that there is something out of this, out of normal happening over there. Because when you say thriving world, everybody says, I want a thriving world. Yeah, we all want a thriving world. But I can thrive by chopping animals up. So, because we've been doing that, right? We think we are getting to a thriving world by chopping animals up. So it's a little bit like, when Dr. McDougall, he wrote an article on the McGowan report. So the McGowan report was telling people the truth about, what they should be eating. And then the agribusiness came along and said, no, you can't tell the truth. You have to change it. So that then it became the dietary recommendations. And the dietary recommendations are also telling people what they should be eating. And it's also couched in language. It's about the good of the people, but it's really for the good of the business right now, right? So, I mean, it seems like a very scientific report, but it is based on all false science. So by putting vegan in the term, we have set the bar and said, okay, there is a polarity happening. And yeah, there are some people who are going to do this to that polarity. I don't want to come anywhere near it. But at least we are not deceiving them. We are starting with the truth. It is going to be a vegan world. So the people who are open to it come along first. So it's like, this is why I tell people, watch the 12 Angry Men movie, because it shows how that one juror persuades the other jurors. But the one juror starts by saying, I think it's not guilty. It's supposed to saying, so I want to be on your side, right? So the polarity is created initially. Anyway, I hope that clarifies that.
So Les, what I was saying about 2026 being the tipping point to a fully vegan world, does that make sense in the context?
Yeah, I would say that is the minimum we are aiming for. Okay, that's the minimum we are aiming for. Of course, we want it to be a completely vegan world. That's the maximum we're aiming for. Is the vegan world, the tipping point happens this year. I don't know. It could happen this year. I mean, look at what the stock market is doing right now. It's crazy, right? People are waking up and saying we need to be doing things differently. Whatever it is. And now they know it's the wet market that did that. Well, we've had so many such potential pandemics in the past. SARS, MERS, H1N1, all of those things. People didn't, once they figured out a vaccine or a way out, they just went back to doing the same thing again. Chopping animals' heads off, which is this root cause of all these viruses, right? So now people are waking up because this one looks like it has all the characteristics. It has the infectiousness and it has the lethality to make it a world-changing pandemic. So, sorry, I was just going to end by saying, all we are trying to do, like the reason Harvard canceled its meeting, the reason, the tennis tournament is canceled in California now, people are canceling things left and right, Madonna is canceling her concerts. All of that is to buy us some time, okay, to find the vaccine or whatever it is that we can manage this disease. Because if you let the pandemic go, if we just behave like normally, a lot of people are going to get infected right away when we really don't know how to handle it. So by canceling these things, they're trying to just flatten the curve down, so that it happens over time and people are busy trying to figure out how to solve it. In the meantime, we need to tell people, look, it started because you're chopping animal heads off. Stop doing that. When are we going to learn to stop doing that? Right? So that should be front and center in our messaging. That the number one response to this pandemic is to go vegan. It improves your immunity to handle the pandemic and the disease, even if it occurs to you. And secondly, you won't start another one. I don't know what is next, right? If you keep doing things like this, you're going to get another one.
So I just wanted to add, since we're talking about our understanding of all of this, when I looked at the 7 core shifts and the fact that the project was called Vegan World 2026, I understood that to mean that the foundation of the 7 core shifts is veganism.
Mm-hmm.
That without going vegan on a large scale, and I don't know what the number is, I'm happy to go with the 50%. We looked at what the work that Ray did showing the 3% chasm and the 16%. I don't know exactly where that number is. So I'm going to go with whatever number someone shares with me, but that veganism is the first thing. I believe that we are so indoctrinated into capitalism and consumerism that unless we find this footing, veganism is such a polarity, is such a stark contrast to what we have all grown up with, that it finally begins to let you see all of these other things. And so I have not been particularly worried about the rest of the shifts, because it has always, since the first time I saw this work, felt like the first thing that has to happen is we have to understand the sanctity of all life. We have to understand what we have been doing. And just as a really quick aside, there was an article, I don't even remember in what publication, over the weekend, about the fact that this pandemic started out of bats. And my husband wrote to the 2 researchers and said, you know, you're vilifying bats when in fact it has to do with the wet market and killing animals. And they came back and said, absolutely, these coronaviruses live in bats and several other creatures, but it's not until we're killing the other animals that the virus has spread to that we have the ability to spread it to humans. If we weren't killing other animals, the coronavirus would not have gotten to the human population. But that's not what's in the news. Mm-hmm. You know, that's not the way that the article was written. And I have a particularly soft spot in my heart for bats because of a bunch of things. And so we took that action. We're still not getting the whole story. Yeah. And so for me, that makes the idea of veganism even that much more important, that much more foundational, the first thing that has to happen. And then the other shifts are going to be much easier. And again, that's my opinion from reading all of this. I just wanted to, say that.
No, I mean, and you're absolutely right. This particular one started with bats, but we had one that started with pigs. It was called the swine flu, H1N1. Yeah, so it wasn't as bad as this one, but if we keep feeding our animals antibiotics, they're going to keep getting, more and more adapted viruses and bacteria in them. And we keep chopping them up, it's going to jump at some point or the other. So by our relationship with animals is the root cause of all these things. So this is why veganism has to be the foundation of the new system. It completely changes the relationship. Yes.
Sorry, I saw that Keith raised his hand. So Keith, you wanted to speak before me?
Yeah, I just wanted to say very quickly that we're already over. I'd be happy to let it go another 15 minutes, but we do need to think about, okay, this is an excellent discussion. Where do we take from here? What can we do? When do we want to meet again? And what do we want to do in between now and then?
I think that one question that said, what do we do in the context of the greater mission of Vegan World 2026 is a really important one. And it's kind of revealed why we've kind of got stuck on topics that are bigger than just Nature Stewardship Study Group. that sociocracy meeting on Thursday, I think, has probably become more important, and maybe something that, because we're a group that is already in motion, it's probably, you know, more of an imperative to get our system in place, because we're kind of a model group now that going through a few of the growing pains that we want other groups to avoid. So I think that should be part of our objective. Are there other items on our agenda that we could tick off quickly, or are they large, more time-consuming things that we had originally planned for?
Well, I think we need to be answering the questions online, not necessarily live, but writing the answers in between meetings.
So one thing we could do is we could do as much as we've got focused on questions question number 35, and we've heard some excellent ideas. And the question is now, maybe we could focus just on question 35 to start with, and we could write, we try to deal with it online, write your answer to the question, what you think about, you know, everything that has been raised here and so forth. And then we could meet again and I don't know, and is everybody fired up? Do you want to meet next week or another month, or how do you want to, I would submit those two items. First of all, that we ought to answer question, the to-do action would be for everybody to answer question number 35 as best you can online. And then the second thing is, when do we want to meet again? Is there any agreement on that we're going to try to answer question 35 online? Let's start with that one. Everybody does that look good?
Yeah, I can put them again, like in our Basecamp subgroup of nature stewardship. Like just maybe instead of the message board, I will try to put it in the to-dos. So we have like a time frame, and we get notified of the people that assisted this meeting. And I will put 35 on top. Probably it will stay there, I hope, after I fill out all the list. But we all know that it's number 35 to start off with.
I think 35 is unanswerable at this point. I think that one may be the one that we can answer, because it's relying on the definition that'll hopefully be, that we'll come up with on tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah, like it is not a final answer. It's not a final answer. It's just like to say exactly what you're saying. Like Ray comments on this is like, it's not answerable because of this. But some other people would say, to answer this, I have this clarity, boom, boom, boom. So we start creating like a documentation of all these voices. It's not the aim to answer it and to say, okay, it's answered. It's just like to develop it. to try to get it clear.
Okay, so I would suggest that we put question 35 on a to-do list and say, everybody come up with your own answer, and then perhaps put a second to do in your spare time, answer the other 11 vision questions while you're at it, if you run out of things to do. I'll add that as the second to do, sort of as a generic thing to just keep people busy once they solve question number 35. And then does that sound like a good plan? Does that sound like a good thing? And then if it is, then the question would be, when we meet again. Well, first of all, is that a good thing to put question 35 as a, okay, Jorge says yes. Ray and Climate Healers, yes. Sylvie, yeah. Okay, right. Okay, so everybody's. I guess we lost Benjamin. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, is he there? Wait a minute. Oh, there he is. Yes. Sneaking down at the bottom of the screen, I see. Okay. Okay. So we're all agreed. And then the next question is, when are we going to when are we going to meet again? Are we all fired up? We want to meet next week, next day? I can't meet tomorrow, but
we've got the VCI meeting that's going to help answer question 35 tomorrow. And then we've got the sociocracy thing on Thursday, which will help answer a lot of our cultural questions. And so I think that while the fire's hot, I think we need to meet next week sometime.
Okay, let me take a quick look at my calendar.
I think I can stop sharing the screen, right? So we can see each
Yes.
other easier. Okay. How do I do that?
Yes, you're right. Actually, I have this is sort of a revolting development, but next Monday, I've got a conflict. You could do it, I could do it maybe an hour earlier, but I've actually got something to go to at 11:30. I mean, 11:30, which is basically an hour and a half. If this group ended precisely at 11 o'clock, I could do it. But something tells me that this may not work. Or you could meet without me, I suppose. Which would you prefer to do?
That sounds like a good incentive to stay on point.
Okay, so we will have the meeting at the same, rather than say, make it a half an hour earlier. No, we don't want to make it a half an hour earlier. It sounds like. What does anybody think? Anybody besides me?
How about 2 weeks? So we have time to see if this moved forward through the VCI meeting tomorrow, the Sociocracy 3.0 on Thursday presentation. And then we can use the online thing to say, okay, 35 is kind of more clear to everyone. So we can start answering the rest of the questions online also in these 15 days. So that's like, it would be today is the 9th, right? The 23rd. Instead of the 16th, the 23rd, and be in communication online. But like, is everybody going to be at the Sociocracy 3.0 presentation on Thursday? Like everybody here, at least.
I'm not, because I was hoping that somebody else would figure it out and explain it to me, because I've got a lot of meetings. But I'll take whatever you. If someone.
I'm assuming it's going to be recorded, no? Like, is that a good assumption?
2 hours? I
don't know. We have recordings of 24 hours.
Oh gosh. I can't promise that I would look at it. I'd almost rather read a book on sociocracy, because I mean, it sounds to me like it's not that complicated. I've been in a lot of meetings in my life. I've been on meetings for the last 40 years. I could give you a list of all the organizations I've been in. So it's like another meeting. Is sort of my reaction. But
maybe we can see if this is going to be just like a webinar, 2 hours presenting something. I think it's going to be too much. My assumption again is that it's going to be kind of like more interactive questions and answers, or at least in a workshop format. But like, how can we make sure about the format so people can be informed not only about the time and date, but what it is going to be about?
I think we've set up the perfect, what I described as this is one of the early groups that are getting a start. So VCI, this is a good challenge for us to be able to present sociocracy to Keith, who's the leader of 2 different groups, and be able to boil down our perception of our flavor of sociocracy, and then transfer this knowledge to a smaller circle in the sociocracy series of circles, right? Does that make sense?
I don't know if our job is to sell the idea. Like my assumption about the way that I have seen sociocracy is that people want to get hands-on sociocracy. It's like this is the opportunity to have a first-hand approach, a first-hand knowledge, like not referred to or then trying to sell it. Like the core group, again, is very important, that the core group gets involved in the core things, such as the governance.
Okay, so when is this VCI meeting that you're trying to rope me into?
The
Thursday
VCI is
at
one thing,
9
and
p.m.
sociocracy
Eastern
one is another thing. Sociocracy presentation is going to be on Thursday, and the VCI meeting is going to happen tomorrow. The one that is more clear to me is the VCI because we run it every Tuesday. The one that is going to be the presentation on Thursday, I have so many questions, even like in the content. Like I would like to know more so people are more engaged. Like I am completely into it, but I feel that I would benefit from more information about what is it going to be presented, or for how long and in what format.
If we're doing 2 weeks now, we're meeting again 2 weeks, we'll have the benefit of a VCI meeting, the sociocracy clarification with James Priest, and then another VCI meeting where we'll be able to distill that knowledge, and then we'll be able to answer it more clearly for Keith on the following week.
Okay, so when is the, okay, so the meeting you're talking about is you really want me to come to is the VCI meeting on Tuesday, is that correct? No, which meeting do you really want me to come to?
No, I don't really want you to come. Like it is
Okay,
like it should be like an intrinsic positive motivation. Like like the governance is part of the core of like this could allow us to coordinate as co-creators in so many different projects within the umbrella of Vegan World 2026. So again, like it is not a question like we want all the leaders to show up. No, like, okay, like if we want the same thing, if we had a clear vision, which we are not yet, we would like to be hands-on on these very important aspects such as the governance. But it's not about like this mandatory for everyone, or it's like we want them to show up. Like how can we make this appealing to all the ongoing projects? Like I would also like to see not only Keith, not only whoever runs the Interfaith Vegan Coalition, like all the projects, like even the Aquarius project, you know, like how can everybody show up? Like what can we do to say this is available? This will create a platform to make things go within the 6-year frame of time that we have, more coordinated, more clear to everyone.
Okay, so I will take that as my cue to not show up, but I am sort of interested in it. But like Tuesday is also a very bad day for me because I have an ongoing gig on Tuesday afternoon, which is like sort of not quite. I mean, it would be I could get out of it, but it would be a major thing. It's like it's my volunteer gig with the Denver Public Library. So I will skip out on that, but I could, then we will meet in 2 weeks, which I have something to do that afternoon, but actually it's much more accessible at the same time on the 23rd, March 23rd. Is that what we're talking about? Is everyone clear on that? And it is when, yeah, we've got something at it. We've got something that afternoon, but I'll deal with it. You know, in the morning, okay, it's no problem. Okay, so everybody's clear. We're going to meet again on Monday, March 23rd at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Yes, Anne, are you there?
I'm actually moving that day. I may be able to be online. I may not. I don't. That's literally the day that our furniture will be packed up. So I will do my best to be here. But that week, I mean, I'm driving back to Indiana and moving back in. So I will do my best. But the whole group should not stop because I happen to have something going on. So
I'd help you move, but I've got a meeting. We've got a meeting. I can't help you with furniture. Sorry.
Yep. Got to put that on hold. Hopefully the whole country will not be in lockdown. We're trying to figure that out at the moment. What happens if? So anyway, I will do my best. It will depend on. I mean, obviously the computer is going with me, but we'll see. I might be here. I might not. It'll be okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, Anne. We will miss you. But we will go ahead with 2 weeks, March 23rd at the same time. Okay, and I believe what we're going to work on is we're going to have 2 to-do items. We're going to have the question number 35 as one, and we're going to have all the other questions as the second one to be completed in your spare time. Is that good? Is everybody good with that? Okay.
I have a question. As the guy who didn't do any of the questions thus far, is my input into any of those questions relevant at this point, or have I missed that particular train? Yes, I've missed the train. Or
yes, yeah. I mean, sure. Your input would be most welcome because
I've already approved them as the vision questions, so I don't have any problem with that.
Oh, okay. Yes, right. Okay. Well, in that case, I thank you all for your participation, and I will see everyone in 2 weeks, same time, same station. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.